Rev up your engines!
Patrick Kagowski says, Scotty, are there any cars with bad manual transmissions? They're always a good choice. Oh, no, there's plenty of them with bad ones. Give you an example. My neighbor had an Audi Turbo standard transmission. When it had 35,000 miles, the transmission blew up because there was such rolling piles of junk. And he was a lawyer. He said, man, even I can't afford it. I'm a corporate lawyer. He went out and bought a Honda, and he was happy with a Honda. Yes, there are cars that have bad manual transmissions. I'm sure that Ferraris, Lamborghinis, the ones that have them, I'm sure those things break too. I don't work on them, so I can't say, but there are bad everything out there. That's the way it is these days. Dark Kessian says, what's your opinion on Infinity's G37s? Let me know. Okay. They're fun cars to drive when they're new, but if you go buy a used one, especially a high mileage used one or one that's more than 10 years old, they generally become endless money pits because their parts are very expensive, they're not that easy to work on, and they tend to fall apart when they get older. You're better off getting yourself either a Lexus or an Acura. You know, the Infinities are fancy Nissans, and the fancy Hondas, the Acuras, and the fancy Toyotas, the Lexuses, are much better made than those things are. Luciano Casanova says, Scotty, what do you think of Tesla's latest pickup truck? Well, yeah, of course, it's only a matter of time. They're going to be making pickup trucks because all the other people are starting to come out with them. There's the guy in Michigan that's come out that Ford put money in and Amazon put money in. And there was a guy a while back that he bought a Tesla and he turned it into a pickup because he wanted an electric pickup truck. It's like everything else. The Tesla stuff is uber expensive. It's very expensive stuff. Now, to put the shoe on the other foot, he does have a factory he's building in China. If he ends up building those things in China, he's going to be able to build them a lot cheaper. And then maybe the price will come down and people want to buy them. The only thing I have against an electric pickup truck, I made a video on electric pickup trucks, is they're relatively heavy vehicles. And they have to be relatively low to the ground because of all that weight of the heavy battery. The thing about pickup trucks is they have a lot of torque. They're high up in the air. And when you start lowering them down and putting electric batteries in them, nobody really knows how long they're going to last towing heavy stuff. You know, they're rated for all this stuff, and it's like everything else. A lot of stuff is theoretical garbage when they say, oh, this will go 190 miles. Load it up, start towing stuff, and then let's see how far it can really go. That's not going to be known until they're out and they're sold, and you have real-world people driving them. I always tell people, don't buy something until it's been out at least 3 or 4 years, because then you can see if they've got a lot of bugs and if they lied and they actually get horrible mileage if they're gasoline cars, or horrible mileage that they can drive on recharges if they're an electric car. You don't know that until they've been out there a while. Train Time 453 says, hey, Scotty, what are your thoughts on buying a 2014 Kia Sorento with 100,000 miles? Now, Kias, I'm not a fan of Kia, Hyundai. They're basically the same company. They got all kinds of mergers, and one owns part of one owns parts of the other. It's all getting to be kind of crazy. They're nowhere near as good as Toyotas and Honda. At the same time, if it's got 100,000 miles, it still runs okay, and you can get it cheap enough, it can be a decent knockaround car. It's not a car that you're going to drive another 100, 200,000 miles trouble-free because it's got miles on it now. But that said, try to find from the owner how it was driven. If that was all highway mileage, realize that highway mileage is equivalent to 10% of city driving. So if you drive 30,000 miles on a highway, just keep driving, that's equivalent to like 3,000 miles in the city. So if most of that 100,000 miles was highway driving, it's like 10,000 miles of driving, so the car should still be in pretty good shape. Savant. Hi, Scotty. My Acura TLX jerks when I change from reverse to drive. It jerks forward. I'm concerned it might be the transmission. What do you think? Could be the transmission if the motor mounts are worn, and when you shift it, then it jerks. Simple. You just jack it up, and if it moves and you see the motor mounts are separated and the transmission mounts, replace them. Also check the CV joints on the drive shafts. When they're worn, they'll jerk. Now, if all those are okay, yeah, then it's internally your transmission. In that case, I'd definitely get rid of the vehicle. To rebuild one of those transmissions can cost you anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000. They're very expensive transmissions to rebuild. Jonathan Paris says, Scotty, for best quality, should I buy an old Jeep Wrangler and install a 4.0 inline engine, or buy a new Rubicon? Definitely go with an old one. Those straight sixes, those things could run forever. Now, they're kind of gas hoggy, but they got a lot of power. They're zippy little cars zipping around. You can find them all over the place. You could find one that, say, doesn't even have an engine, or the engine's blown, get it for practically nothing, and then put a new engine in it. That would be the smart. The Rubicons, they're junk. The new one that they make, they're just garbage. Since Fiat took over, their quality's gone down sharply. And it wasn't that good to start up with. Anything Jeep from like the year 2000 up. Carl's Pinner says, I got an '07 Audi A4 2 liter turbo, 154,000 miles. Temperature gauge sometimes fluctuates. Car isn't overheating, there's no leaks. What can it be? If it fluctuates, first thing, just change the thermostat. Could be the thermostat sticking a little, not opening right. Simple. If it's not that, check the cooling fans. If they don't come on right, that could be the problem too. You want to pray it's something simple like that, and not that the head gasket's starting to blow that those things are known for. You got some other cooling system problem, like the radiator's old and they corrode internally. You don't see anything, but they're aluminum. They corrode inside, and then they can't dissipate heat right. RSS 3524, could a Subaru Crosstrek with a manual tranny last me 200,000 miles? Now, they do have weak head gaskets to some extent, but those standard transmissions definitely can go 200,000 miles. Now, for the rest of the vehicle, you want to change the coolant, say, buy the best coolant you can, and on those, I wouldn't stretch it. I'd change it every 5 years or every 100,000 miles. Even though the stuff says you can go 7 years or 150, change it every 5 years or every 100,000 miles. And change the engine oil on those things. Don't go 10, 12, 15. Change between every 5,000 or 6,000 miles if you use conventional oil. Or even better, use synthetic oil and change it to those ratio. And they can last. I got customers with them, with the manual transmissions, that have been happy with them. But with the automatics, they almost always break long before then. All Tech Repair says, Scotty, do you think a used Volkswagen Golf Mark 6 with a standard transmission could last a couple of years? And how do you feel about those TDIs involved in the Volkswagen scandal? You know, they ran perfectly fine. There wasn't anything wrong with them. It was just the software. They polluted a little bit too much, and the Germans got caught with their finger in the pie. They're paying for it. It's cost them billions for that goofball mistake. Now, as for a used Volkswagen Golf Mark 6 with a standard transmission, what the heck? Could last you a couple of years. And standard transmissions, the big problem with those are the automatics. They're garbage. They cost a fortune to fix. It's still a Volkswagen. Realize as they age, they become money pits. If you live like here in Houston, Texas, or someplace where it's real hot in the summer, the air conditioning systems stink on those things. They break all the time, and they're expensive to repair. But if you live anywhere you don't need AC and you can get it cheap enough with a standard transmission, it could last you a couple of years. You never know. Still pay a mechanic like me to check it out before you buy it, because you never know if cars have been wrecked, flooded, or stolen. You can't trust anybody these days. Dry Teak says, Scotty, what's your opinion on a 71 Plymouth Fury? My grandfather has one. I was thinking about buying it for a show car. Go right ahead. You're talking about a show car. You're not talking about a drive it everyday car. People are starting to collect those things. It's like everything else. All the 67 Mustangs are gone. All the classic Corvette convertibles are gone, or they're rotted, or they're smashed against the tree, or they're junk. And things like Plymouth Furies. Now, they're starting to get a little more popular, and as time goes on, they'll probably be worth more money, and you want to make a show car out of it. There's still parts available to it. 71, they were pretty basic cars, so you're not going to be dealing with the computer crap on later model cars, and for a show car, hey, why not? You have some fun with it. Chic Monique, can I change my water pump without the timing belt being changed? Depends on what kind of car you got. My old 94 Celica, you don't have to touch the timing belt. The water pump's on the outside, you just bolt on and off. Say if you've got a design like Volkswagens have, where the timing belt runs the water pump, you could change the water pump without replacing the timing belt, but you still have to take the timing belt off, at least the top half, change the water pump, and then put it back on again. It depends on the design of your car. Find out what kind of design you have. And these days it's so easy to get information. You can just Google water pump timing setup on my car, put the date in, and you'll find pictures to show you whether it's part of the water pump assembly or not. Manuel Montemayor, hey, I got an old Honda Civic. The speedometer stopped working one day. How do I fix it? Okay, it's a 2000, so it's a modern enough car. It doesn't have a speedometer cable like they used to, a spinning cable. What they have is they have a sending unit that's the speedometer speed sensor that bolts on the transmission. Then there's a wire from there that goes to the speedometer itself that turns that digital impulse back into an electric impulse that runs the speed motor that turns your 10, 20, 30 miles an hour. Even though it looks like the old-fashioned speedometer, is completely different. There's an electric motor inside that runs it. Try a new speed sensor. That's the most common thing. If it's not that, then generally it means your dash unit has gone out, but normally it's a speed sensor on those. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.